they broke off from mainstream Judaism because they were sick and tired of the corruptness among especially the priests. Almost kind of like Martin Luther, who broke away from the Catholic Church and started a Reformation. Exactly. It wasn't exactly a Reformation, but it was a breakaway. And they came down to two places. One was in Jerusalem and one was down here. They actually lived out in the caves, but this here was their center. Before I talk a little bit about their community, about who they are, we're going to now jump to 1947 CE. Now, by the way, I use that term CE because Jews do not say BC or AD because of Jesus. So they say BCE, before the Common Era, or CE, the Common Era. Have you heard that before? Okay. What happened in 1947? Exactly 1 year before the State of Israel was born, there were two shepherd boys out here, Bedouins, looking for their lost sheep, and they thrown some stones and they heard some pottery break. They went into some of the caves up here, over here, and they found some jars. And inside of the jars, they found ancient scrolls. And on the bottom of one jar, they found it written, "Made in China." No, I'm joking. You know, I'm telling you that story because one time I had a group of Asians, and their English wasn't their mother tongue, and it was really struggling. We weren't flowing at all. And so we got here and I told that joke, and from that moment on we were best friends for life. They liked it. Anyway, they found these scrolls, and they are the famous Dead Sea Scrolls, because we are at the Dead Sea here. Now, what are the Dead Sea Scrolls? By the way, we have spent decades trying to decipher them, trying to study them. In short, they are basically, number one, biblical writings. And when I say biblical, I'm talking about the Old Testament. We've found just about fragments from just about every book in the Bible. In fact, every book except one book, and that was the book of Esther. Because back in those days, it wasn't sure whether they wanted to canonize the book of Esther. Why might that be? Because, actually no, not because she's a girl, but because God is not mentioned in the book of Esther once. God is hidden. That's what the word Esther means, from the word master, hidden. She was told to hide her identity as well. The whole theme is the hiddenness of God. That's why we wear masks and costumes to hide our identity. So, biblical writings. Number two, apocryphal or end-time writings, which were a very common style of literature in that period, apocryphal writings. And number three kind of writings were community writings, where we learn a lot about what went on in the community. Now, people say that the Dead Sea Scrolls finding is the greatest archaeological discovery in history. What is so important about the Dead Sea Scrolls? Well, the two key things is, number one, they're the oldest manuscripts that were found, and the accuracy from the ones that we already had, which were the oldest, 400 AD, going back about 600 years to about 200 BC, exactly the same. So the accuracy, number one. And number two, what it does, why it's so important, is because, especially for those that want to study the New Testament, remember I keep on talking about the historical, cultural, social background to the Bible, how important? Well, the Dead Sea Scrolls opens windows of information that gives us more and more insight to the time period of that day. Okay? So this is why it's so important to study the Dead Sea Scrolls. This is Moshe. Excuse me just a second. Hey, Moshe.
Dead Sea Scrolls, oldest accuracy, 1947, Open Windows of Information.
Correct. Thank you.
I can't.
The Reader's Digest version.
Yeah, I have to have something solid because I'm left-handed.
Okay. All right. Now what we're going to do, we're going to have a look at some of the things of the community here. We're not going to be out a huge amount of time, 10, 15 minutes. This is something that people have been studying for decades. Windows of light that will help us understand the New Testament are the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Apocrypha. You know what the Apocrypha are?
I've never heard of it.
Intertestamental
What?
period books.
Is that the end time books that we
No.
do?
No. Are you an ex-Catholic?
Yeah.
Okay. In the Catholic Bible, they include the apocryphal books. So they are the intertestamental period books, the books between the Old Testament and the New Testament.
Right.
The Mishnah, the Talmud, Josephus, Philo, Eusebius, these historians. These are the main books that gives us light into the time period of the Lord Jesus, okay? So the more and more you want to study the New Testament background, these are the books that you want to look at, although I have recommended 2 Bibles, cheap. Number one is the Archaeological Study Bible. You can get it at CBD, the Christian Book Distributors, $30 for a hardcover. Excellent Bible. Pardon? It's an excellent Bible. I used to work in a bookshop in Jerusalem for 12 years, sold hundreds of different Bibles. In my opinion, it's one of the best. It's Zondervan Bible. It comes in NIV or King James. Walter Kaiser is the chief editor. And it has good, succinct articles about just about every topic. And then this new Bible that's come out, which a friend of mine purchased it for me, and it's on the way. It's called the Cultural Study Bible. And I checked it out online. It looks fantastic. I don't know much more because I haven't got it yet.
Pastor John says that's a good one.
Okay?
Me too.
It's on its way.
A big part of the Essene lifestyle was ritual purity. And what did they wash themselves in? One of these. It's called a mikvah, or as we say, an immersion pool, or a baptismal pool. That's what it means to be baptized, to be immersed. Now here's a good example. If you have the Archaeological Study Bible, it has a one-page good teaching what baptism is now, but what it used to be. And it's quite an evolution. We don't need to get into it in general, but if you go back to the First Temple period, the men had to be immersed, and the women, on certain occasions. Like if you touched the dead, you were ceremonially unclean. Before you offered up a sacrifice in Jerusalem, you had to be immersed. Once a month, a woman would have to be immersed. After sexual relations, you had to be immersed. So there were certain occasions that you had to be immersed. Then, during the Second Temple period, around the time of Jesus, immersion was associated with joining a movement. If you wanted to become a member of this community, or a member of the Sadducees or the Pharisees, it would be like an initiation ceremony. 1 Corinthians 10, Paul touches on this when he says, do you not know that they that came out of Egypt were baptized into Moses? It's an identification. Now take that lastly to what we consider baptism. Baptism, usually we go under the water, we come out. What are we doing? We are being baptized into Jesus, into his death, into his burial, and into his resurrection and ascension. It's identification. Okay, but it's evolved a little bit. Today, Jewish people still get immersed once a week. Amen. In every Jewish community, you will have an immersion pool, a mikvah. I could say a lot more about it because there's some good spiritual applications about bathing in a ritual immersion pool. Now here in the community, they would sometimes 4 and 5 times a day be immersed.
So was the water blessed or what?
Yes, good question. The idea is that on one side you would go down unclean and you would come up clean on the other side, and there would be running water that would be flowing into it, which gave it a sense of living. It was called living waters. Fresh water. Yes, fresh water. Fresh water from the Judean desert, where they would actually make aqueducts. Here's one here, where they would channel the waters from the Judean mountains. It didn't rain often, doesn't rain often out here, but when it rains, it pours. And this is a mixture of sandstone and limestone, which splits. So the water seeps in the rocks, the split rocks, it bottles up, and then it breaks out into flash flood. So you have to be careful. And then they would channel it through the aqueducts into the cisterns. So they didn't lack water out here, surprisingly, in the Judean desert. And we're on a perfect day, but in the summer, we couldn't stand here more than 30 seconds. It's over 110 degrees on average. Okay? Damaged state. The question is what were they doing out in the caves? The theory is that, the twofold theories, number one, they were there to protect them from potentially the Romans coming, destroying them. Number two, the fierce temperatures in the winter and in the summer out here. Down here is one of the writings from the community scroll. It talks about when one has entered the council of the community, he shall not have any share of the property of the congregation. And if it be his destiny to enter the company of the community, his property and earnings shall be handed over to the bursa of the congregation. So if you wanted to join the community and you were wealthy, you had to hand everything over. It was not yours anymore. It was all. So what does that remind us of?
The
A
Amish.
commune, the Amish, correct? What else?
First century Christianity.
What do you mean first century Christianity?
Immediately after Jesus.
How do you get that information?
First, second chapter of Acts.
What does it say?
They had all things.
Correct. They brought all things and they laid it at the feet of the apostles. They had all things in common. Except for Ananias and Sapphira, who held back their stuff. So it just goes to show that it wasn't just the early church, it was a very common way of living, community living. Another example is a kibbutz or a communism. That's what a communism is. And a kibbutz is exactly the same. Now if you go back before the state was born and post state of Israel, this country was basically founded on the kibbutz movement. And back in those days, people needed each other a lot more than they need each other today. Back then it was a battle for survival. Remember, a lot of the early pioneers came from pogrom areas in Europe or the Holocaust. So they needed each other. Water, food, security. Now the kibbutz movement in some aspects has died out, but in some areas it's still thriving. It's interesting, the children of the original, they kind of started to move away from the kibbutz movement, and yet now some of them and their children, they want to actually go back to that. If I had my way, I'd love to live on a kibbutz. Just that community. Although, you know what they always say, grass is always greener on the other side.
Oh, yeah.
Once you get there, there's troubles that you don't realize until you live there. And then you want to move away. It's human nature. or you know what they say, when you find the perfect church and you join it, it no longer is perfect. All right. So what comes to your mind when you think of the pottery? Jeremiah as well.
Yeah.
Go down to the potter's house. Take this piece of pottery, smash it. For thus says the Lord, I'm going to break Israel. I'm going to make a new piece. Now, here in the community of the Essenes, the two main pieces or the two main commerces, is that the word? Was pottery and dates. We found here over 100,000 date pits and a apparatus for making date honey. Now, what is date honey? It was actually at the hotel. It's a very dark, it almost looks like dark maple syrup. John the Baptist, it says his diet was locust and wild honey. Now, the wild honey is date honey, where they take the dates and they crush it, and you get a syrup. It's called date honey. That was the sugar of the day. That was your sweetener.
Is that what we've been eating on our pancakes?
Yeah.
Okay. Really?
Yep. From the hotel.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have date
And today
honey.
you can buy it at many shops. You can buy it at the shop in here, by the way, and it's cheaper than honey. And you can buy with sugar and without sugar. It's very healthy for you. It's good for blood sugar and for cholesterol. You can put it on salads. You can use it as a sweetener. You put it in yogurt. And even dates themselves. You can cut them up, put them in salads, put them in stews.
Oh, yeah.
All kinds of things.
Date nut bread.
Date nut bread, exactly. Dates are really good. Ladies, I'll offer you a date later. You all a date later.
Dates, or what was the other thing?
Personally, I think he was. All the signs point to it, and I'll tell you why. Number one, the emphasis on ritual purity. We know when John baptized, he was talking about repent, be immersed. Number two, his clothing matched the Essenes. What was it? Camel hair. We found a number of camel hair items here. Number three, his diet, locusts, wild honey. And number four, when he ended up going to baptize, it was very close to here in the Jordan River. So all signs point to him being a member of this community. We can't say 100% sure, but I'd lean that way. Okay. Well, both. Yep. And by the way, literally about 3-4 months ago, it came out in the newspapers that they were doing the final excavations out here. So a big team came out. They did it up there where those people are. See where those people are? Right in that area. Haven't heard a thing. Sometimes it could be 4 or 5 years later that you actually find out what they discovered, if they discovered anything today. So for all we know, they found a whole treasure. But actually, what are those people doing? Do you know what rappelling is?
Yes.
That's what they're doing. See these coming down a rope? In New Zealand, they call it abseiling. Yeah. Now, New Zealand is a big nation for sailing on the water. So a friend of mine said to me one day, hey, would you like to come abseiling? And I thought, yeah, let's go for a boat ride. The next minute, I've got my life in my hands. But it was, when you get to the bottom, it's like your emotions catch up. And you get the buzz when you get to the bottom, but all the way it was like, I didn't enjoy it.
I want to do paragliding at a plane. We've done parasailing.
Found that there was 14 places where they hid treasure. It was written that they hid treasure in 14 different places. Has that 14? Have those 14 places been found?
No.
It's impossible to know, because if you found it,
You're not going to tell.
are you going to tell people? Now,
And if you found it and you didn't know about it, you just found treasure.
Right. Today, the law in Israel is if you find something, you have to report it. But there is a big black market, and people are getting busted all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Big time. and you know there's serious fines and even imprisonment
For what? For what?
for finding artifacts but not reporting them.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
So Israel has their own pollution.
World on exhibition. I don't know if they've ever been to
They've been in
Michigan.
They have. They have. They were there like 4 years ago. DIA.
Originally, after 1947, when they were found, the young shepherd boys, they sold them on the black market for a few dollars. Then those people sold it for a bit more, and it spiraled. Finally, by 1954, there was an advertisement in the Washington Post, Dead Sea Scrolls for sale, $250,000. $250,000 back then could buy what would be maybe, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 million dollars can buy today. I'm not sure. But it was a lot of money. So members of the Israeli government purchased those. Some have gone to Jordan. Some, we don't know where they are. The Hebrew was the biblical Hebrew, which is not the same as the modern Hebrew today, but yeah, quite a lot of it has been translated. Yeah. All right, everyone, let's make our way this. Not just here, but in all the countries.
I was just thinking if it was snow covered, that would make a great flipper.
Did you find out about the animal? It was,
Pat. Pat. Go that way.
A new morning is rising in our community, Piyama. We came here to the edge of the country, facing the Dead Sea from Jerusalem, the Galilee, and the plains. We abandoned families, friends and work to come to the place where we can purify ourselves and properly prepare for the final war. Every Jew who came along did so to get close to the right way and to stay away from the sons of darkness, evil people. Among them you will even find high priests from Jerusalem. He who believes in our way is the son of light, and when the final war begins, all our opponents will be destroyed. But in the meantime, we are here. Here in this holy place, no one can distract our minds from worshiping the Lord. We don't possess much, and the little we have we share equally. The good Lord, He supplies us with all our needs, even in this barren desert. This morning, while working in the date grove, a neighbor from Enot Kander, 5-hour walk from here, passed by. He told us of the bitter end of one John the Baptist, whose head was severed by King Herod. Suddenly, I remembered we too had one by the name of John. Years ago, he came to us and requested to volunteer. Each new candidate undergoes a thorough examination and, once accepted for a season of study, joins us in work as well. At the end of 2 years' time, just before becoming a full member, he arose, broke his vow to Yahweh, and left. Twice daily we bathe together in the purifying bath in order to be sanctified in the pure waters. And after bathing, we gather together to dine. First, we taste from the pure bread that was prepared for us by the high priests, and then from the wine. When we went for our evening's toil, we inscribed the high priest's words describing the Lord who created the spirits of light and darkness, and thereupon based every being. The first was greatly loved by God, each of its actions desired. The second, in all that it encompassed, he despised forever. At the end of a day's work, we bathed again, and after purifying ourselves, gathered together for the evening meal. We dined in reverent silence, even when troublesome thoughts preyed upon us. After the meal, I arose and asked for permission to speak. Could it be that the man who was murdered, of whom we heard from the passerby, was the same John that was with us and then left? It is not the same man, replied the high priest, and in truth we would be better employed in the studies of the Holy Scriptures rather than wasting our time in the idle talk that spoils the spirit of Yahweh. The wrath that ensued was so great that a remark was noted in the book in my disfavor. After having been punished, things calmed, and we resumed our studies as we do every night until a third of the night is past. But of these things I am not permitted to tell you. We may not reveal our secrets to anyone. Only we, the sons of light, are allowed to share the secrets of Yahweh. This alone may be revealed. All is predestined. There is no free will. Even before the time of creation, it was inscribed that you, somewhere in the future, would hear and see these words. It is God's wondrous plan that brought you today to this pure and sacred place. And God willing, perhaps the secrets may be revealed unto you.
In the year 68 CE, just before the Roman army arrived in this part of the country, members of the Yahad hid their writings and put them for safekeeping in the caves surrounding us. Only 1900 years later was the treasure accidentally found inside vessels like those you see before you.